in a vacuum, right? Like there were multiple competing factions of, Palestinian groups that were all going to create a worse situation for Israel. And so to some degree, this was like a strategic choice.
To pick the craziest of them.
But
that
I'm
was the
saying,
reason.
but it's not like they were picking between like there's one terrorist group and then there's two democracy-loving, groups that will really take care of the people. I'm like, yeah, we're really going to like go for the terrorists and root for them, right? Like it's not.
No, the choice was the Palestinian Authority.
About how bad of a choice it was.
Oh, okay, but the choice was between, say, like the PLO, say, like Arafat types, who are literally are standing there saying, we reject terrorism. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to come to the table. We'll accept 67 borders. We'll accept 22% instead of the 44% that the UN partition plan even recommended, which that was BS because there was no reason they should have taken so little. They're saying, we'll take the 22%. We want peace. Now, they said this. I'm not saying they're perfect angels, but to choose between that and Hamas, and to choose Hamas over that option, this isn't like, oh, we have a bunch of bad options, and so we got to pick one. This is like, we have clearly better options, and we will pick the craziest one so that they look crazy to the world.
It's frankly
All right, so I put together a video of Dave Smith's top 10 moments where he destroys Zionists. I hope all of you enjoyed this. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps get this video out to a larger audience. Now let's continue.
Coincidence that I got a 4-star general named Wesley Clark who tells me in 1991 Paul Wolfowitz had a plan to overthrow all of these regimes, and those happen to be the exact ones. Isn't that something? Wouldn't that be? And it happened to always be justified because, oh my God, Gaddafi's about to go genocidal. No, he wasn't. Oh my God, Bashar al-Assad is killing all of his own people. And then later after that, you find out that America and Israel were arming all the anti-Assad rebels, and much of the weapons ended up in the hands of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And so yes, that I would consider that another war. And look, as soon as Donald Trump 2017 turned that program off, stopped arming the anti-Assad rebels, the killing stopped. Things calmed down. You know, it was the U.S. plan for regime change in Syria is what kicked off that whole civil war.
I didn't support any of that. So I'm not sure
what are we?
How crazy is that? I believe it's called a clean break. 7 countries that were outlined to have regime change for Israel pretty much. And we pretty much did all of them now. Iran's the only one who hasn't changed the regime yet, but we pretty much started a war with them. Iran, Iraq, who else was there? You got Libya, you got Syria, you got Somalia. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Doing here? We're bombing another country in the Middle East. We're bombing the poorest country in the Middle East.
Yeah,
by the way,
which has been bombed forever.
Oh my God! On behalf of Israel, because they're standing up against this fucking brutal war in Gaza right now, and so we're gonna bomb these guys again. And then you have like, I gotta say, man, like I was disgusted by Tulsi Gabbard's response there. Someone who I've said a lot of nice things about over the years, and who I really supported as being the DNI, but like. Literally, only J.D. Vance is the only one who offers the mildest pushback and he's like, hey guys, this is kind of a mistake and it's kind of everything against what Donald Trump ran on. And by the way, like it's like such an insignificant amount of our trade that even goes through this area. It's really Europe's problem, not ours. But I'll go along with it if you guys want to, if you guys say. And then they literally say on the thing, they go, we've tracked the missile guy, as they call him. This is the target they're trying to take out. They go, we've tracked him to his girlfriend's apartment building. So we'll level the apartment building. And then Tulsi Gabbard's just like, job well done, team. Everybody's cheering it on. There's not like, nobody even has the thought to go like, is there a way we could do this without like murdering an entire apartment building's worth of people here? Is there a way? Man, this is a lot. Like, it's like, do none of you guys even kind of believe in God? Are none of you even scared that maybe God exists and that like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing here? There's none of that. There's not a feeling of that. There's not a sense that does.
The lack of pushback from Donald Trump and his administration is quite unfortunate and pretty depressing, actually, from someone who claimed to be America first and anti-war and the no-war president. I think it's been a total failure. I don't think anyone would deny that at this point. I mean, he takes credit for these weird, like, I stopped 6 wars in 6 months, and it's like the most random crap. Like, the 3 big things that he said he would come in and stop, he didn't stop any of them, whether it was Russia, then Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, and the third one, you got China probably going to take over Taiwan. Donald Trump, unfortunately, not only has he not pushed back, he pretty much did what Israel wanted him to do, which is bomb Iran, Yemen, all that stuff.
Doesn't mean that expertise doesn't exist. Who the hell is arguing with that? If what Douglas Murray was saying was you can only talk about these things if you're an expert, which he certainly implied, but then kept insisting he wasn't really saying that. Well, that's an appeal to authority. It's a logical fallacy. If Douglas Murray is just saying it's important to know what you're talking about, well, then you're just batting down a straw man. Nobody is arguing it's not important to know what you're talking about. By the way, and this is part of the reason why Douglas had such a poor performance and why he's getting so much shit for this, why everyone's having a meltdown about Douglas Murray's, performance, is that if he's making the second point, that could be stated in one short sentence, like I just did. Hey, if you're going to talk about these things, it's important to know what you're talking about. Boom, done. Why does it doesn't take 45 minutes to make that point, does it? Because he knows he could make that point and we all go, okay, yeah, we agree. Now let's get into the debate. But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to draw this out as long as possible. And it certainly, at the very least, was not clear that that was all he was saying. He's saying, well, the answer is to have more experts around. It's like, okay, but what exactly do you mean by that? Well, he never defined it. He never, was clear. And by the way, there's a whole lot of experts who would take my position on that debate. He doesn't want to have those guys on either. I can promise you that. Because once again, like with Bill Maher, it's not really about expertise. It's about Joe platforming people who are critical of Israel. That's his issue.
The fact that
that Dave Smith just held a masterclass in just debates and debate performance and just knowing all the logical fallacies. That's why he's able to deconstruct every argument. He's very talented on this. And I'll be honest, you don't always expect it from Dave Smith, a comedian, that he's going to be a boss debater. But he's good, man. He's skilled, very skilled.
Every show I go on, I get asked about Daryl Cooper, who somehow I'm working as hard as I can to generate outrage and controversy. I've been on Rogan like 15 times more than him, and still when I'm on, all anyone wants to talk about is Daryl Cooper. And look, I think this in and of itself just says something that's so fascinating. I mean, the guy had one almost throwaway line on the Tucker Carlson show, where, by the way, he caveated it in the beginning and the end. Said, I just say this to get a rise out of my buddy. I'm kind of ribbing him. Also, I'm being hyperbolic. And when I say Churchill's the villain, I don't mean that he committed the most atrocities or was the worst person. And it's like, my God, this sentence, the reaction alone to it almost proves the point which ultimately is what Daryl Cooper was making, which is that World War II has become essentially our religion. It is down to the fact that if somebody were to say they're a devil worshiper, you wouldn't even bring them on your show, Pierce, because it's not that interesting. No one's even going to want to watch that. It's not.
No, but I think. But hang on, Dave.
But if you're,
Dave, I would say,
if you're a Nazi,
I admire your defense. I admire your defense, but let's be clear: if someone is going to say that Churchill's the chief villain of World War II, they deserve all that's coming their way, because Churchill tried to defend.
Well, he didn't
the
even
world
really say that
from a genocidal.
Yeah, I tend to be on the side of a free exchange of ideas.
Debating Chris Cuomo.
Okay, so that is true. Dave Smith, I've watched a lot of podcasts of him, and he gets asked about Daryl Cooper a lot. For those that don't know, Daryl Cooper is like this historian who did this whole podcast series on like World War II, and he got into a big scandal when he just said something about the Holocaust or something with Tucker Carlson. And I watched the whole interview. I didn't see anything crazy there. I'm not sure why it blew up so much, but yeah, that's Daryl Cooper for you. Also, just a reminder, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Really helps get this video out there, helps support. Only about 6% of you are actually subscribed to my channel. Just press the button. It takes 1 second to do. Now let's continue.
But it's like even just the way they talk about you, or like where it's like, oh, these bro culture guys or something like that. Like, I'm sorry. Objectively, this isn't an opinion. What happens on this show is so much more intelligent and thoughtful and deep than anything that's going on at CNN. You just can't tell. You can't tell me that you sitting down with Elon Musk for 3 hours and then compare that to like Wolf Blitzer with all his graphics behind him, talking for 30 seconds before he goes to a pharmaceutical commercial, and then coming back and having the dumbest left winger yell at the dumbest right winger. Really? And you guys are going to act like you're the grown-ups in the room? Like it's too ridiculous. And that's right. So the entire young generation they've all turned that off. None of them are getting their news from CNN anymore. No. And look, man, that's I think the most beautiful part of this election.
Yeah, mainstream media is dead.
Yeah, that's right. In the 20.
And is it a coincidence that the only people that really watch mainstream media anymore are boomers, and they're the only ones that still support Israel? Like a lot of the polls are showing that every demographic in the United States have turned away from Israel and have become more anti-Israel than they were before. So mainstream media was able to push their propaganda before, and now with independent media and social media, they don't really have that control anymore.
21st century, what has the establishment handed the American people? Okay, like we got 9/11, which they did not protect us from. Then they lied us into war after war after war, each one being a catastrophe, lying us through the entire thing. I mean, 19 years in Afghanistan, they were saying the army we're building up is doing a great job and they're going to totally keep the Taliban down as soon as we leave. over and over, you know, like we were just going through the stuff with Putin, lie after lie after lie. The stuff, the way they screwed Bernie Sanders out of the nomination, just blatantly cheated against him. Then they just blatantly interfered in the election in 2020, you know, silencing people, the Hunter Biden laptops, killing that story. After a year, you know, of locking the country down, which was kind of proven to be all based on pseudoscience from a virus that they freaking made themselves and then lied through their teeth about that so they could cover it up. Then they tried to, you know, tell us that this clearly senile man was like, how much do you think you can lie? Oh, and by the way, there was a giant pedophile ring that is still redacted for national security purposes. Like what?
We'll get to
you
that.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm very.
You know, in all these different things he said, there are a lot of debates that happen on both sides. One thing that I really do think that will go down in history is how Joe Biden was able to be president when clearly he had dementia and he was senile. It's actually unbelievable that he was the leader of the free world for 4 years, the most powerful position in the world. And everybody knew that, yo, this guy is not okay. This guy is pretty old, and I'm pretty sure he's not independent anymore. And it just happened. Like, the world still ran. Like, it's just unbelievable to me. How was a U.S. president that malfunctional and the country still survived in 40? It's just crazy.
But you know, the truth is, like, between me and you and the millions of people on the internet, like, I'm terrified about the future of our country. I'm very, very concerned about it. And there's a lot of, like, you know, look, I mean, obviously, like, we're in $34 trillion of debt. We can never stop fighting these wars. We've turned world opinion completely against us. We have the worst political and social and racial divides of my lifetime.
Yes.
The culture is more insane than any time in my lifetime. I mean, the fact that we're debating over whether 5-year-old boys can transition to be girls, the fact that that's even a real thing, and it's not a joke that wouldn't work because everyone goes, that's too absurd to even be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just like a sign in itself. But there is also something else going on, and it's much bigger than me, and I don't understand it. I don't pretend to understand it. But we are living through some type of major paradigm shift, and where lies are being exposed quicker, and people are being exposed more than ever, and honesty and integrity are being rewarded in certain ways. And that's like, I kind of have to cling on to that because there's so much to be, you know, to feel despair over, but there's something really positive about this.
I couldn't agree more.
Propaganda is not working the same way it was.
Online. Because what's frustrating is that you, from our perspective, like from Nick's perspective, I'm a limited hangout type of, because I won't go far enough to actually deny the Holocaust or blame the Jews. I'll just talk about the clean break strategy or whatever. But from our perspective, you guys are just an albatross around our neck that just gives them the low. It's like, so you see these guys, they got nothing they can really say about me, but they can pivot to Nick and start talking about the, so, you know.
They do the same thing with you with Daryl Cooper.
Yeah, sure. You know, and so, I don't know. I think the way I look at it in the broader sense is I think whether it's me or Daryl Cooper or Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes or any of them, you know, all of us have had people essentially trying to cancel us, trying to smear us, trying to, you know, attack our character without taking on any of our arguments. I think we're kind of in a new phase where cancel culture isn't working, at least at the moment. And you know what? However you feel about Nick Fuentes, same way, however you feel about me, I'm here. So if you want to take on what I'm saying, then you got to take on what I'm saying. And so I do think that, like, I think at a certain point, Nick has earned the fact that he's not going anywhere. He's been canceled by everyone, and he's bigger than ever. So
before we go on to the last one, I just want to say thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate that support. It allowed me to be where I am today. And only about 6% of you are subscribed to my channel. Let's bring that number up to 10%. So just go ahead and subscribe. And now let's go to number 1. Hope you enjoyed this video.
Long war that's been going on since at least 1947. And, you know, the people who are in power, you know, Benjamin Netanyahu, like I always talk about the clean break strategy and all of that, but the clean break memo was written to Benjamin Netanyahu. And what was the break from? The break was from Oslo. And don't use any of the later excuses about the Second Intifada or Camp David or any of that stuff. This was in 1996. This was only a couple years after Yitzhak Rabin had signed on to the Oslo Accords. Netanyahu has always represented the faction that was against a two-state solution. So don't tell me you're trying to live in peace with your neighbors when your plan is to dominate them in perpetuity. Benjamin Netanyahu, was it 2 weeks before October 7th, went to the UN with the map that had all of Gaza and all of the West Bank as part of Israel. So if what you mean by live in peace with them is
annex them, okay. But, you know, I don't think that's not exactly what most of us describe as peace.